Paul Newman had everything the world thought a man could want: the looks, the charm, the fame, and a love story that seemed to define Hollywood romance. But behind that golden image was a truth he spent decades hiding, a truth that only began to surface when time stripped away the need to pretend. Born in 1925 in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, Paul Leonard Newman was a mischievous kid with piercing blue eyes that would one day become his trademark. But behind those eyes was a restless boy who never quite fit in. Growing up as a Jewish kid, he faced exclusion and judgment, often feeling like an outsider in his own world. His father Arthur ran a sporting goods store, a stern man who doubted Paul's potential, while his mother Teresa was a perfectionist who controlled everything around her. Their home looked perfect from the outside, but it was chaos behind closed doors. And Paul grew up desperate to prove himself. His first step on stage came at just 7 years old, playing a jester in Robin Hood, and that moment lit a spark that never went out. After high school, World War II called, and Paul joined the Navy dreaming of becoming a pilot. But when his pilot developed an ear infection, the entire crew stayed behind. Days later, the ship they were supposed to board was destroyed in a kamikaze attack, killing hundreds. That twist of fate saved Paul's life and left him with a powerful sense of purpose. When he returned home, he knew life had given him a second chance he couldn't waste. After the war, Paul struggled to find his place. He tried everything from selling encyclopedias to boxing before following his passion into acting, studying drama at Kenyon College and Yale, and eventually marrying his first wife, Jackie Witt, in 1949. Their marriage was rocky, complicated further by his growing fame and his mother's disapproval of Jackie. By 1953, Paul landed his first big role on Broadway in Picnic, where he met a young actress named Joanne Woodward. Their chemistry was undeniable. But there was one problem. Paul was still married. What began as a secret affair soon became something deeper, something neither of them could deny. Even as Paul juggled two families, the guilt of betrayal haunted him. But love overpowered everything else. After co-starring in The Long Hot Summer in 1957, Paul divorced Jackie and married Joanne in 1958. Their union became one of Hollywood's most famous marriages, but it came at a heavy emotional cost for everyone involved. Paul's career took off, but his first movie, The Silver Chalice, was a total disaster. He hated it so much he took out ads begging people not to watch it. Yet his undeniable presence still shone through, and Hollywood saw his potential. After James Dean's tragic death, Paul took over his role in Somebody Up There Likes Me, and the performance changed his life. It proved he had the raw intensity and charm to stand shoulder to shoulder with legends like Brando and Dean. From there, the hits kept coming. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, The Hustler, Cool Hand Luke, Butch Cassidy, and The Sundance Kid. He became an icon, a man whose face defined an era. But the fame that lifted him also began to eat away at his peace. At home, Joanne had put her career on hold to raise their 3 daughters. While Paul's star only grew brighter, she once confessed that if she could live life again, she might not have had children because being a good mother and a great actress felt impossible. And while the world adored their marriage, Paul was secretly battling something darker, a drinking problem that consumed him. A case of beer. A day was normal, and sometimes he would drink until he passed out. Joanne described it as the anguish of their lives. His charm and talent could mask it from the public, but not from his family. One night, after falling out of bed drunk and hitting his head, Joanne packed the kids and drove away, ready to leave him for good. Paul slept in his car outside their beach house, begging to be let back in. And somehow, they found a way to stay together, but that peace didn't last. Rumors of infidelity began to swirl again, especially during the filming of Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid, where he was linked to journalist Nancy Bacon. The press tore him apart, mocking his famous quote about staying faithful with lines like, "He might not go out for hamburgers, but he sure liked bacon." The scandal nearly ended his marriage, and Joanne was furious. Yet, despite it all, they stayed together, clinging to what they had built. But for Paul, the deepest pain didn't come from gossip or Hollywood pressure. It came from his son Scott, born in 1950 from his first marriage. Scott struggled his whole life with the weight of being Paul Newman's son. He wanted to make it on his own but couldn't escape the comparisons. He battled addiction, fought with the law, and after a motorcycle accident, mixed painkillers with alcohol. In November 1978, at just 28 years old, Scott died from an accidental overdose. The loss shattered Paul. The guilt was unbearable. He admitted later that he had used drugs with his son, thinking it would bring them closer. But instead, he believed it helped destroy him. In his private writings, Paul confessed that he often fell to his knees asking for forgiveness, saying he would carry that guilt forever. To honor Scott's memory, he founded the Scott Newman Center to help young people fight addiction, trying to make sure no other parent suffered the same loss. As years went on, Paul's image softened into something almost mythical. He became known not just for his movies but for his humility, his philanthropy, and his enduring love for Joanne. Yet even in his later years, he couldn't fully escape the rumors. People still whispered about affairs with stars like Marilyn Monroe, Grace Kelly, and Judy Garland. But none of it could change what was real, that through all the pain, guilt, and flaws, Paul Newman loved deeply, lived fully, and never stopped trying to be better in his final days. Friends said that every time Joanne walked into the room, his whole face lit up. Theirs was a love story that survived fame, scandal, and time itself, imperfect but true. And when Paul Newman passed away in 2008, he left behind not just a legacy of films, but a reminder that even legends are human, even icons carry scars, and even the brightest stars have shadows behind their shine. Subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and press the bell icon so you never miss a story about the untold truths behind Hollywood's biggest legends.